Welcome back to the 3-Hour News Show. This is our signature segment, See the Stories. Now, I have a question for you, okay? Do you think, okay, let me rephrase. How well do you think Indonesia is being recognized in the international world?
Wait, in what context?
A lot of context. I mean, generally, probably. Generally, because I don't know. Some movies might mention Indonesia in their script.
You know, when I grew up, it was always, are you from I was like, I'm from Indonesia. I was like, wait, is that in Bali? But I'm glad that in 2023, I think it's changing. I think people already know that Bali is in Indonesia. Not the other way around. But really, I do think that even since like 20, 30 years ago, Indonesian culture has at least always been on top of mind when it comes to people around the globe.
And also, let alone, for the past 2 years, Indonesia has been
working tirelessly.
I was about to say that. Working so hard to be recognized in the face of the world with, hosting lots of international events.
And still going on.
Still going on, from G20, and then ASEAN Summit and the other high-level meetings. And speaking of making Indonesia well-known around the world, we have a guest who often make content in both Bahasa Indonesia and French.
En français.
En français. He also shares Indonesian culture in his homeland, France. And let's give a big hand to Mathias with the Instagram account @Prancis.
Woohoo!
Bienvenue, Mathias.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. And actually, that's a good shirt. Let me know where you bought it.
Where did I buy it?
Yeah.
Actually, this is made of tenon.
Yeah.
And I made it myself with my partner.
Wait.
You made it yourself?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So, for those of you who are seeing Cowok Prancis for the very first time, Mathias is a French content creator who falls in love with Indonesia. So, thank you for coming to our studio.
It's a pleasure.
And where did you think was the starting point where you think I have to make content in Indonesian and French for Indonesian?
For Indonesian?
Is your content for Indonesians?
Mostly for Indonesian,
Because
exactly.
you speak in Indonesian, right?
Yeah.
Mostly, yes. So
Yeah.
the audience is mostly Indonesian.
Yeah.
And when did I start? I started a year and a half ago when I had... Only.
Only a year and a half ago.
But it's already a long journey, right?
It is.
Yeah.
A very long journey.
Yeah.
And the idea was because I was meeting lots of friends and they wanted to know more about France. What is France in reality? Not only what we see on TV, what we see on movies. So they wanted to know more about it, about the cultures, the history, and different things that we can see usually on screen, but they wanted me to share about it.
Now, on that
Indonesian
note,
friends, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Indonesia.
So, on that note, what is the biggest misconceptions about French when it comes to Indonesians?
Well, I would say it's not about French only, but generally speaking, in Europe, they don't really know Indonesia, actually. They know about Bali.
Yeah.
But if you want to ask more questions about it, hey, do you know where is Bali? Do you know where is Indonesia? Do you know what is the Indonesian flag? They don't know. They know Bali because it's one of the most touristic places in the world.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Indonesian has much more to offer and to discover here. That's why I try to promote as well Indonesia in my country, in France.
So does it work like the same way? Because you are your content is basically mostly in Indonesian, so for Indonesian people, right? So how do you promote Indonesia in France to the French people? Do you have also is it easier through Instagram or like word mouth to mouth, or public engagement?
Well, I would say it's like here in Indonesia, right? I base my audience here in Indonesia because I'm based here in Indonesia, in Jakarta. But now the idea is to develop more about Indonesia in a foreign country, especially in France. So, for example, when I'm there, I try to, go to the street and ask some people, hey, do you know where is Indonesia? Bring some food as well, like food tasting, like martabak recently.
Oh, you did not. You brought martabak?
In the streets and ask French people to try it and guess where it comes from, what kind of ingredients they can imagine it is inside, and how do they like it, actually?
So I imagine the first time French trying martabak.
Martabak.
They were probably thinking like, It's a giant crab.
It's a giant crêpe, exactly.
You know what I think? That's greasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much oil.
Too much oil, right?
What is the most questioned things from Indonesian about French?
Yes.
About French, mostly it's about, well, the first question which comes to mind usually it's about pronunciation, actually.
Of course.
It's funny.
Of course.
It's about pronunciation. So of course everyone is aware about the French brands, for example, the luxury
Yeah.
markets, luxury brands. So they ask, how do you pronounce the French brands? Is it correct or not correct?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce the football players? Is
Yeah.
it correct or not correct? So that's a funny way to get introduction about French language as well. And that's what I do and what I try to share.
So, as a content creator, what type of content do Indonesians really look forward to seeing? Is it the food? I saw the content you made on baguettes and how to properly eat
Okay.
baguettes. I loved it because I do have a lot of friends
Okay.
who are very Indonesian and still eat, carving all the nice
No.
grits, isn't it?
Really?
Really?
Please don't do that. I mean, I grew up in
Okay,
Europe,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
know that it is
But I've
the
never heard
talent.
of anyone scraping the inside of a
Hey,
baguette.
because the baguette is hard on the outside,
Of
right?
Exactly.
course, of course.
I mean, is it true according to Ratatouille that it's supposed to be crunchy on the side or very
Exactly,
soft?
exactly. Well, that's a very good question because recently I met some Indonesian students in France and I asked this question. And most of them say, the baguette is hard, it's hard on the outside. So we don't really like it. So we go inside as well because it's more soft.
Yeah.
And well, it's better fits our mouth, our taste as well.
It's more edible.
Edible as well.
Consumable.
But it depends how you eat the baguette.
Exactly. I mean, of course, we grew up eating baguette
Yeah.
as well. In every part of the world. Like we know how you actually dip baguette into soups
But-
and stuff.
Sauce.
Yeah.
We're gonna have this
sauces.
baguette conversation. It's like, but it's I just how do you feel when you're trying to convince people, or not convince people, but tell people that there is a way of respecting international customs, right? Because I understand that it's like us saying, don't you dare destroy the way eating the martabak, right?
Oh,
It's like,
yeah,
you're not
something
supposed
like that.
martabak is supposed to be eaten as a sandwich.
As a
for
sandwich,
instance. You're not
yes.
supposed to eat it, the halfway. So, how is the content engagement's been like when you are trying to explain to Indonesians how to do this, this, and this, or why the French do in this and this and this certain way?
Well, the way to do it, actually, personally, I find it better to do it in a fun way. Because this is how you get the image, the reality, and you keep in mind how it is in reality, right?
Yeah.
If you just do it in a formal way, sometimes, well, okay, I saw this video, but is it real or not? But if you see it in a fun way, usually you keep in mind the image, what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
And it's education, but more in a fun way.
And we noticed that you use Bahasa Indonesia in your content. But how long did it take for you to learn Bahasa Indonesia itself?
Well, I would say first, actually, I was a student exchange here in Indonesia. My first time in Indonesia was in Yogyakarta, in UGM. And
When was this?
in 2016,
2016.
1 year. Like
7 years ago.
Exactly.
Exactly.
7 years.
7 years ago.
So 7 years for you to speak Indonesian.
Let's say this is my 5th year,
Okay.
because on and off, right? So
I see. Like
I was-
fully in Indonesia.
fully in Indonesia, this is
year.
my 5th year.
Okay.
This is my 5th year. So my first year was in UGM, but all the classes were in English. But usually, since a young age, when I stay more than 5 or 3 months, let's say, in one country, I try to learn the language
Yep.
and learn the culture to make sure I can get easily adapted to where I live in.
So you're the third culture kid.
Exactly.
So how many languages that you speak now?
Do I speak now? Well,
French,
French, it's my
Indonesian?
mother tongue, English, Indonesian, Spanish, Portuguese, and well, I understand Italian because it's very close.
That is like so hard. But let's talk about French. Do you think that your language is hard to
Learn.
Because, you have that nasal voice and stuff like that, and also a certain a distinct pronunciation for some letters and for some words. Do you think it's hard for people to learn your language?
Well, the idea is French is not the easiest language in the world, right? I mean, I guess you know it as well.
I agree.
I heard some French. I think you speak a little French as well, no? Both of you, no?
Un petit peu.
Un petit peu. So this is already a very good start.
No, but grammatically.
Grammatically.
It's simpler.
Yeah, so I speak street French, survival French.
Okay, well, this is important as well. Well, the idea is that, you know, when you are born, for example, here in Indonesia, where the language you speak all the letters you find in the word is totally different when you want to learn French, for example, and you don't spell all the letters. Okay? For example, I don't know, Paris, which is the capital in France.
Yeah.
Paris is the English version, but in France we say Paris.
Because you don't pronounce S in the end.
you don't.
Most of the time, 90% of the time, we don't pronounce the last letter, especially in a consonant letter. So this is a little trick, actually.
From what I understand, if the last letter is combined with a following word, correct me if I'm wrong, you do pronounce the last letter, isn't that so?
For example,
Champs-Élysées.
Champs-Élysées. Okay.
Oh, that's because it's a...
Yeah, it's a linked word. Actually, there is the last word is a consonant, the S, and then there's a vowel.
Yeah.
Ah,
Only
okay.
A vowel. So you do the liaison, la manière.
Ah.
Interesting, right?
Dude, that's hard.
I mean, you are a world traveler.
Champs-Élysées. Champs-Élysées.
Okay, let's do something fun.
Okay.
We have French words on the boards here.
Okay.
We will try to pronounce them, and you can tell if we pronounce them correctly or not.
All right, let's play it.
So you have, so we're
So I just turn it off?
yeah.
Yeah.
You just,
You can.
okay, first.
First.
Ah!
Ah, okay.
Okay. Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton.
Perfect.
You can show the camera over there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton. Yay!
So this
Louis
is
Vuitton.
actually the example of not pronouncing
the
the last consonant.
Exactly, because here you can see that there is a consonant and there is another consonant.
Oh.
Okay.
So if it's a consonant and a vocal,
A vowel.
a vowel,
A vowel,
then
you
you
pronounce.
would say the S.
You pronounce
Most of the
the
time
S.
you pronounce the S as a Z.
as a Z.
A Z.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, I guess we'll see it in the next example.
All right.
Okay.
Right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's
So
see.
Louis Vuitton.
Louis
Okay.
Vuitton.
All right.
Okay.
Next one.
Givenchy.
Givenchy.
Givenchy. You're already expert, guys.
So, okay, another question. Does N always
like
pronounce
NG,
the NG word, like on?
Oh, well, it depends. For example, here, en, it's read on, right? On, like ang.
Okay.
The
In
way how to
Indonesian.
read it.
Yeah.
How to read it.
Uh-huh.
All right. But you have different combination between letters. For example, n is read on as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's the N that is the NG, basically.
Exactly, exactly. This is an easier way to understand how to pronounce in French. But this is Givenchy.
Okay.
Givenchy.
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 Okay, the next one.
Next one.
I love this. So, croissant.
Croissant. Do you like it?
I love it.
You
I
love
love
Time,
croissant.
I will judge a boulangerie from its croissant.
Yes.
If it's not good, I'm not coming back.
And
I see.
my favorite thing about Paris has always been the petit déjeuner,
Petit déjeuner.
which requires a croissant with
I see.
jam.
Okay.
I don't understand why people don't eat croissant with jam in Jakarta.
No, it's not. So, Mathias.
Yeah.
This is actually the most discussed word on the social media when it comes to pronunciation, like French pronunciation. Can you tell us just briefly about why we pronounce it like so?
Okay, so very easily. C usually it's pronounced like a K.
Yep.
Okay. O and I it's wa.
Okay.
Like O-A in Indonesian.
Yeah.
Croix. Okay. Double S it's always the S sound.
Not a Z sound.
Not Z sound.
Okay.
So
The
one
Z
S is a Z and double S.
Exactly. One S between two vowels. Vowels. It's pronounced Z. Z. Okay.
Okay.
And here two S. It's S. Okay.
Okay.
So croix, and then A-N-T. We don't pronounce the last letter.
Okay.
All right. So it's croissant.
Now
Croissant.
you know. Now you know the theory.
Woohoo!
Trois.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Next
one.
The next one.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Artinya?
Terima kasih
Terima
banyak.
kasih banyak.
Don't forget the
Terima kasih
banyak.
banyak, oh ya.
Banyak.
Terima kasih banyak. So,
Beaucoup.
merci
Beaucoup.
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 Banyak.
Be careful of the pronunciation.
Beaucoup.
Because
Beaucoup.
beaucoup means something
Oh,
else.
beaucoup.
Beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, it's very important, the U sound.
Okay.
So there. Okay.
the P, you don't pronounce the P.
Don't
because
pronounce the P.
The last letter. That's the last letter. Okay.
Exactly.
The next one.
Next
so
one.
It means thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Bonsoir.
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 What is bonsoir?
Bonsoir means selamat malam. Okay?
Good evening.
Good evening. So if you meet someone when it's already nighttime, usually after 5 or 6 p.m., you say bonsoir, good evening.
So there's no afternoon, right?
There is no, well, usually we say bonjour atau bonsoir.
Okay.
Okay.
So after 6 p.m., you just transfer to
Bonsoir.
Exactly.
Ah,
Usually it's about the sun, you know, when the sun is already down, we say bonsoir.
But the problem is during the summer, the sun could be there for like up until 9 p.m.
Yeah,
9,
9, 10, 11 sometimes.
11 p.m.
But usually people stop around 7. You know, at 7 p.m. we know more or less that we say
Yeah.
bonsoir. Bonsoir.
All right.
Okay?
Okay, the next one.
Next one.
Bonsoir.
okay. Next challenge.
Bonjour.
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 Bonjour. Your pronunciation is perfect.
Whoa.
Bonjour.
You did a good job.
Bonjour.
He's a hard hitter.
Passionate about that.
Bonjour.
That was very loud.
Bonjour.
So bonjour is like a good morning, and
Yeah.
usually we use it from morning to 5, 6 p.m.
5 to 6 p.m. Okay.
Good morning, good day.
So if we could dissect it, bon means good, isn't
Good.
that so? So good. Soir is evening.
Soir is evening, jour is day.
Day.
Exactly.
Okay.
So bonjour, good day.
good day. Okay.
Exactly.
But it starts from the morning
It starts from the morning.
all the way until 5 to 6 p.m.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ha.
Interesting.
Really interesting. But you know what? We're going to keep Mathias here. We're going to continue talking to him. We're going to take a short break. So we're going to play a game as well.
Yes, I love games.
Make sure you
Let's
stay
play
tuned right
games.
here on the PR News Show on See Today. See the Stories continues.